This is Electric Avenue. It is the first course in the urban biome in Huge Calf's Turbo Golf Racing. At first glance, you might think this hole looks relatively simple, and for the most part, you'd be right. Electric Avenue is one of the shortest holes in the game and hosts very few obstacles that may get in the way of a perfect run. There are no tunnels to go through, no areas where gravity changes, and no trees to get in the way. Well, almost no trees. If you aren't familiar with turbo golf racing, the goal of the game is similar to golf, in that you want to use your car to hit your ball into the hole as quickly as possible. However, in turbo golf racing, the goal is to do so in the shortest time possible, instead of the fewest strokes possible. Players are allowed to select two different cores that typically provide substantial improvements to speed or assist in the aiming of the ball towards the hole. Now that we have an understanding of the game of turbo golf racing, let's take a look at the very short history of Electric Avenue's fastest time ever. Now, what exactly is a fastest time ever? Fastest time ever, which is commonly referred to as FTE for short, is an idea the community came up with in order to keep track of the fastest times ever recorded on a particular map across all updates or metas. Typically, a new season, or in some cases a new update, comes with a reset of all the leaderboards in order for there to be a fresh and balanced competition for world records across maps in the new update. So it is possible to get a world record without getting the fastest time ever. In the example here on the course Eye in the Sky, you can see that the current world record in Season 3, which is the current season, is held by I'm Drewski with a time of 9.614. However, he does not hold the fastest time ever on this course, as that is held by Dinosaur 1994 with a time of 9.479 in a previous season. There are currently 3 modes in which the community agrees count for a fastest time ever: casual, ranked, and time trials. Casual matches consist of 3 random holes on which real players and bots will race each other, with a winner being declared after the 3-hole set. Ranked is similar to casual but matches ranked players together without bots to play 5 random holes, and at the end of the 5-hole set, players are given an adjustment to their rank based on how they played versus other ranks in that set. In both of these modes, the main advantage for getting FTEs would be the random items that you can pick up along the course that can improve your speed, especially the gas cans. However, even with the theoretical speed advantage that multiplayer modes have, out of the current 75 holes in turbo golf racing, 72 of those fastest times ever have been done in time trials. This is likely due to the low stake nature of time trials. In time trials, you are allowed to attempt as many runs as you would like and are able to restart a run whenever you would like without penalty. Time trials also have boost cans placed on the map where there would be randomly placed items in multiplayer, and this provides for a lot more consistency and a lot less RNG when trying to come up with that perfect line in time trials. Whereas if you're hunting for FTEs in a multiplayer mode, you're really just hoping for that perfect RNG of getting a bunch of gas cans back to back to back in your line. Now, as far as leaderboards are concerned, both ranked and casual go to the multiplayer leaderboard, and time trial goes to its own leaderboard. Now, when it comes to documenting the fastest times ever on every course, there are a few players in the community that put together this really beautiful spreadsheet, and I'll make sure to link this in the description below. And not only does this spreadsheet tell you the fastest time ever on each course, but it also details out the course that were used and links you to the proof, which is either a video or a screenshot for said fastest time ever. Now, the first turbo golf racing beta ran from April 28th to May 2nd, 2022. In this initial 5-day beta period, we had our first few mentions of Electric Avenue, with the first mention ever coming in the official TGR Discord on the first day of the beta from B Snag stating, "Got a sub 17 Electric Avenue. Was fun." And he actually did get a screenshot of this, which I'll show here. The following day, TGR staff actually put out a pretty cool update in which we can see that the world record for an online game is 15.159 seconds. And we can actually see that Magic claimed that he had a 15.15 in a multiplayer game shortly after the beta ended on May 2nd. And I was able to go and find his screenshot. It's definitely possible that this was the 15.15 stated in the announcement on April 29th, but Magic's screenshot was posted on April 30th, and I'm just not confident enough in either of these first 2 screenshots that I've showed you to say either was definitively the FTE at the time. But there was one run on April 29th that I do feel pretty confident saying was the fastest time ever at the time, and that's Tomzo's 14.90. And he did actually post a video of this run to the TGR Discord with Mr. W responding, "Wait, Magnet is insane, what?" Also, what does the other power-up do? And as we take a look at this run, we can see that that other power-up was actually small ball, which in theory probably doesn't help this run too much. And you can see he starts the run off with a magnet, which is pretty interesting. Goes into a second hit, which goes a little bit left offline, and then pulls it back and just smashes it home with a magnet. Actually a very beautiful run. And this stood as the fastest time ever for a full 2 days, until Blackbird showed up with a 14.66. Now there isn't any video for this run, as we only have a screenshot posted by what we're led to believe is Blackbird's friend, Anthologic. And as you can see in the screenshot, we can't even really verify the name, so feel free to use your own judgment on this one, but I felt it was worth including on this timeline. And those are all the times that I could verify from the first beta. And actually the second beta started on June 11th and ran for about 11 days until June 21st. And believe it or not, I couldn't find any more fastest times ever during the second beta period. But with early access as we know it today dropping on August 4th, it didn't take long for there to be a new fastest time ever. And 2 days after early access launched, Dragoon dropped a 14.17. And he did actually post a screenshot in the Discord before he got this time, which Jives replied to, "Nice, congrats." In which Dragoon asked, "What's the record?" And Jives goes, "I don't know, I had a 14.8 or something." Then Dragoon comes back shortly after, "Well, I just beat it." To which he drops the screenshot and even has the video for. And I do quite enjoy this video, as it's an old school video of the TV style video. As we take a look, he was using straight shot shock, which is really surprising. And this is actually one of the earliest runs where you can see that just taking a straight line ends up being the fastest way here. And the shock was just totally unnecessary, as he doesn't even use it one time, but gets him the fastest time ever at the time. And this run stands for a whole 1 day, as we see Whatsaw With You take over 2 seconds off the fastest time ever, which will easily be the biggest time taken off this record on this timeline. And as we take a look at the run here, you see he's using magnet straight shot. He goes with a nice hit off the start. Using the straight shot to keep it straight, does go a little bit left, but uses the magnet to pull it back here and hit a big shot. And this is kind of the meta we'll see a lot going forward in some of the runs, as using magnet in this way tends to be a very strong option for a lot of the shorter holes. Now this was an extremely strong run for its time, but it only stood for about 2 months until the legend 5-star Grog showed up, using magnet and big shot as his cores. And as we take a look at the run here, once again, we'll see a slight tap off the start with a slightly earlier magnet than we've seen. And that in conjunction with the big shot allows him to get in a bit quicker than anybody had at the time. And just a beautiful 11.639 here by Grog. And this FTE wouldn't stand for long, as 4 days later, a TGR legend named Jives would show up to stake his claim to the Electric Avenue fastest times ever leaderboard. And as we hop on to look at this run, you'll notice this is the first time we see hot hit in use. Once again, we do have the magnet, and we're gonna go with a similar strategy with a magnet pool to hit the ball. And this is actually the only time in these FTEs that you will see this ring on the right side be used.
Well, damn. That's a world record, okay.
And this run by Jives only stands for a full 2 more days before Nero comes in with an 11.192, which is worth stating at the time it was not counted on the leaderboard because he did not have his speed visibility turned on in the settings. And as we hop into this run, we'll once again see the magnet big shot combination that we saw Grog use. Instead here, Nero goes with a little bit bigger of a hit off the start, maybe giving it more momentum for the magnet, and he just hits an absolute banger here. And Nero goes on to hold this FTE for about a week until DChasman855 took it from him sometime between October 5th and October 15th, 2022. Now we only know this happened because of the screenshot from only 3putt's fastest time ever run that happened on October 15th that you can see here. And surprise, surprise, the next fastest time ever and the first person to break the 11-second barrier is the only 3putt. And as we take a look at his run, you'll see we go back to the hothead magnet meta. And although this line is very similar to the ones we've seen so far, this is easily the straightest line from point A to point B, as he barely gets around this tree right here. And that's enough to get him the fastest time ever, a time of 10.895. And luckily enough, we get one of the most ecstatic reactions I've ever seen out of 3putt.
Number 1!
And this fastest time ever lasted for about another week as a familiar adversary, the Chazman855, circles back to get the fastest time ever back, but once again leaves us without a video, and we only have a screenshot from 5-star Grog to remember this run by. And this leads us into one of the most mysterious eras of the Electric Avenue fastest time ever timeline, the Deshawn era. I've been able to narrow down the date that this run must have happened on to between January 14th, when the last Grog screenshot from his time trial leaderboards was taken, and February 10th, when we have this screenshot from Game Run posted of his Electric Avenue run, where we can see Deshawn has a 10.204. And unfortunately, that's all the information I was able to figure out about this player and this run in particular. And this leads us to the next stop on our timeline with Grog's 10.184. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any video for this run, but we do know that it happened sometime between April 17th, 2023, when the Season 3 leaderboard was reset, and May 21st, 2023, when Game Run posted this 90-star run, where you can see after he finishes Electric Avenue that Grog did have the 10.184 at this time. And this run by Grog would stand for a little over 2 months until Dankavelli would show up with a 10.159. Now, Dankavelli only had a screenshot of this run, claiming that his NVIDIA highlights screwed him over, but we do know that this is likely the first FTE on Electric Avenue in about a year that wasn't using Magnet, as we do know that Dankavelli was only hunting maps with Double Dash Hothead during this time. It was pretty well known that Double Dash was extremely overpowered on long maps during this meta, but it was around this time that Dankavelli started running some of the shorter maps with Double Dash Hothead to really extrapolate how broken these cores were. And we can see here Dank and Drewski talking about the possibility of the first ever sub 10 Electric Avenue, with Drewski stating, "I think you can do it," and Dank saying, "I think I could for sure." So it makes sense that the first 10-second barrier was broken just a few hours later by Drewski? That's right, Drewski became the first ever player to break the 10-second barrier on Electric Avenue. Which reminds me of another post I came across during my research for this project, where Jan claimed he would post a picture in a cow costume if anyone ever got a legit sub 10-second Electric Avenue. Well, Jan, it's time to pay up. And here we get our first look at OP Double Dash in practice, as Drewski hits a pretty heavy shot off the start to the left and double dashes his heart away until finally drilling a perfect shot off the dash that goes straight into the hole. Electric Avenue's first ever sub 10 run, and it's pretty cool seeing this 9-second run hit a leaderboard full of 10s. Just an amazing run. And this record would stand only for about 2.5 more weeks until Dankavelli came back on the last night of OP Double Dash's existence, July 26, 2023, even posting RIP Double Dash in his post of the video. And as we take a look at this video, we see that Dankavelli goes with a little bit of a different strategy than Drewski, opting to go with a short hit off the start and into a couple dashes, and then just ripping this absolute banger that goes directly into the hole. And that leaves us with a 9.605, giving Dankavelli the fastest time ever by only 0.376. And believe it or not, this would be the longest period that anybody would hold the fastest time ever on Electric Avenue, as it took almost a full 6 months for the record to be broken on January 15th, 2024, with a time of 9.555 seconds by a familiar runner. I'm Drewski. And as we take a look at this run here, you can see that we're back to the Magnet meta, with Drewski electing to use Hothead alongside it. And this is actually the first time we see someone go with a hit to the right off the start and elect to use the Magnet to hit a banger straight into the hole on the right side of the tree as well. Just a beautiful 9.555 here by Drewski. And this run would only stand at the top of the Electric Avenue fastest times ever leaderboard for about 4 days, until a new challenger that we haven't seen so far approached, A-Tag Swag. And as we jump on to take a look at this run by Swag, we can tell that the starts compared to Drewski is a little bit different, but overall the Magnet hit is a lot of the same. And here we see the FTE is taken down by 0.07 seconds. And if you're wondering what 0.007 seconds of a difference looks like, well, here you go. And for our last run in today's video, and the current fastest time ever set on Electric Avenue, we have Drewski's 9.463, which was ran on January 21st, 2024.
Now in the street there is violence, and lots of work to be done.
I just want to end this video by saying I really appreciate everyone who tuned in to watch. This is hopefully the start of a series of videos that me and Andrewski would like to put together that would document the fastest times ever on a bunch of different turbo golf racing courses. And this just seemed like one of the best courses to start with, but there are a ton more courses with much more interesting histories and legends, and I really can't wait to cover some of those in the future.